How old were you when you heard things like, "I wish you were never born"?
So, 7.
The Menendez brothers' case is complex, and each point raised for their release has layers that continue to prompt debate. In this video, I will talk about many of the points brought up for why they should be released.
You said at some point your father had anal sex with you. Is that right?
Yes.
And how old do you believe you were when that happened?
I was in 6th grade.
The Menendez brothers alleged that they were subjected to years of severe abuse by their father, Jose Menendez. According to their testimony, this abuse was physical, emotional, and sexual, creating a home environment dominated by fear and control. They claimed their mother, Kitty Menendez, was aware of the abuse and enabled it by failing to intervene. Defense attorneys argued that these abuses led the brothers to feel trapped and desperate, believing that killing their parents was the only escape. During the trial, the defense introduced expert witnesses, including psychologists, to support claims that the trauma caused by this abuse left the brothers psychologically unstable. They argued that this trauma led to a state of learned helplessness, a feeling that they had no control over their lives and couldn't escape the abuse. Despite these claims, the prosecution and much of the public dismissed their defense, arguing that the brothers were simply after their parents' fortune. Advocates for their release believe the court system did not give enough consideration to how trauma from abuse might have influenced the brothers' actions. The Menendez case was one of the first highly publicized court cases covered extensively on television. The media coverage portrayed the brothers as rich kids gone wrong, focusing on their affluent lifestyle and the millions they would inherit rather than the alleged abuse. The coverage was sensational, highlighting the brutality of the crime and the brothers' seemingly extravagant spending after the murders. This portrayal created a narrative of cold-blooded killers who killed for wealth, ignoring their defense claims of long-term abuse. Additionally, the Menendez trial was the first criminal trial to be broadcast on court TV, which capitalized on public interest in the scandalous nature of the case. Critics argue that the sensational coverage created a hostile environment for the brothers, potentially influencing jury opinions and public perception against them. This media bias, they say, played a significant role in framing the Menendez brothers as unsympathetic, undermining the possibility of a fair trial.
He asked me if my dad ever gave me massages, but he was actually trying to find out if any of these massages were normal.
Over the years, new information has emerged that supporters argue might strengthen the Menendez brothers' case for self-defense. Since their conviction, other witnesses have come forward, some of whom allege that Jose Menendez's abusive behavior was known to close family and friends. These potential testimonies were either unknown or unavailable during the original trial, and supporters argue they corroborate the abuse claims, which could justify a re-examination of the case under current legal standards. Additionally, today's legal and psychological understanding of abuse and trauma has evolved since the 1990s, when their trial took place. Back then, allegations of abuse, especially sexual abuse within families, were less widely understood or acknowledged in the legal system. Some argue that a new trial might place more weight on the psychological effects of long-term abuse and reframe the actions of Erik and Lyle as resulting from trauma rather than purely greed. These points build a case suggesting that Erik and Lyle were acting out of psychological desperation rather than cold calculation. Those who believe the brothers should be released argue that the courts should consider not only the trauma they endured, but also the effects of their environment, which they claim set the stage for their tragic actions. Please like and subscribe for more true crime content.